Introduction. The topic of the Federal Reserve, or the Fed's implementation of monetary policy, has a significant presence in economic textbook as well as standard and guidelines for economics instruction. This presence likely reflects the fact that it is the implementation framework that helps ensure that the Fed's desired level of its policy interest rate is transmitted to financial market, which helps it steer the economy toward the congressional dual mandate of maximum employment and price stability. Over the past decade or so, the Fed has purposefully changed the way it implements monetary policy. Unfortunately, many teaching resources have not been updated. Before the financial crisis of 2007-2008, the Fed implemented policy with limited reserve in the banking system and rely on the daily use of open market operation as its key tool. Today and over the longer run, the Fed has stated that it plans to implement policy with ample reserve and rely on its administered interest rate. This change, along with a few others, seems subtle, but the current framework is very different from the previous one, and these changes are not well reflected in teaching resources. Textbooks both shape and reflect instruction, and the content should evolve over time. Mankiw posits that introductory textbook evolved because the world changed. However, this change often occurs at a slow and measured pace. Colander suggests that the content of a major principal text can only deviate 15% from the standard mainstream text. He suggests that change greater than 15% require professors to modify their notes and presentation more than the majority of professors are willing to do. Resistance may also reflect two processes. First, a new textbook will be sent to at least 60 reviewers, many of whom are teaching professors whose understanding is intertwined with the current textbook on the market. Many of them will have an expertise in a specific field of economics and might only be slightly acquainted with topics in the area where there are new developments. Second, later editions are affected by the textbook convergence rule, a market test that positions sales of revised version of text to the previous version, which Colander suggests will result in each edition deviating less and less from a common standard. While this convergence might lend itself to consistency in instruction across courses and institutions, it can inhibit the flexibility necessary to ensure that materials reflect current reality in the field. Incorporating new development is particularly important for the introductory course. These are the courses that focus on economic literacy and shape understanding of economic system and decision making. About 40% of undergraduates take an introductory course in economics. Bowles and Carlin estimate that roughly 2 million undergraduate students take some sort of introductory economic course every year, or about 600 times the number who enter doctoral programs. Most of these students will never take another economic course, so it is critically important to ensure that professors provide students with accurate and relevant content. Mankiw realized that a majority of students who use his introductory textbook will not major in the field, and suggests he write his introductory book for future voters, not future economists. As such, it is vitally important that the information conveyed in an introductory courses with a textbook and supporting teaching material is accurate. This is especially true for monetary policy, which remains one of the least understood topics in large-scale assessment. In this paper, we start by providing the foundational content that should be covered in classroom discussion. In particular, material about how the Fed implements monetary policy in an ample reserve regime. We lay out a simple supply-demand model consistent with what is often presented in principal textbook that incorporates the key concept associated with this framework. With this framing, we next discuss action the Fed has taken in recent years, showing how they are captured in the model. These two sections provide the needed reference material to teach the basic concept of how monetary policy is implemented today and over the long run. Then, we review how the ample reserve framework differs from the limited reserve regime the Fed used prior to the financial crisis of 2007-2009. There are many concepts that are different in these two regimes, including the level of reserve the Fed chooses to supply to the banking system, the principal policy tools it uses, and the mechanic that ensure the target policy rate set by the Federal Open Market Committee or FOMC transmit to financial market. This comparison sets the stage for understanding why and where some teaching materials are lagging. Next, we compare the ample reserve regime content with what is presented in 6 2020 or 2021 edition, Principle of Economic textbook by major publisher and familiar authors. We limited our search to textbooks that have publication dates not earlier than 2020, which resulted in a small number of books to choose from. We evaluate the textbook in 3 areas and across 15 concepts. The 3 areas are information related to the Fed policy rate, concept associated with the Fed policy tools used for implementation, and the discussion of an interest rate adjustment. The 15 concepts cover factors that should be present in curriculum that is discussing implementing monetary policy with ample reserve. We also include factors that should not be present because they are associated with the pre-2009 framework that is no longer relevant. We create a scoring metric that awards a positive point to those concepts associated with the current framework and a negative point to those concepts that are holdovers from the pre-2009 framework. Overall, we find that the textbook vary greatly in their coverage of the concept associated with the way the Fed implements policy today and in the longer run. Scores range from -2 to +6, with a perfect score being +12. Half of the textbook have negative scores, 1 scores near 0, and 2 have positive scores. Those textbooks with negative scores tend to add a discussion of the Fed current policy tools to content that was previously written to cover policy implementation of times past. Unfortunately, this approach results in some outdated statement, keeping the focus on the discussion in the old limited reserve regime. The textbook with the highest positive score, on the other hand, covers the ample reserve regime quite well. Of note, this textbook is relatively new, and the authors only discuss the Fed currency policy tools. Looking at how each of the 15 concepts was scored allows the authors to see where the textbook material is consistent with the current Fed implementation regime and consider where authors may want to adjust their discussion in future textbook edition. We provide a recommended change for each textbook. All the textbooks miss at least a few concepts that could be added to their discussion. Next, we examine the economic material on monetary policy implementation from the Voluntary National Content Standard of ENCS in Economics and College Board Advanced Placement Macroeconomic Course and Exam Description. This standard and guidelines provide a baseline for the information being taught in high school economics instruction. We find that both are quite out of date, with neither including any information about the Fed's current key policy tools, interest on reserve, and the overnight reverse repurchase agreement or ONRRP facility. In fact, if we applied our scoring metric to these materials, these standards and guidelines would score worse than any textbook we evaluated. We provide proposal for how the standard and guidelines should be revised to reflect the Fed's current implementation framework. Updating this material is important because teacher and textbooks authors to some extent lean on these resources when considering how to update their own teaching materials. Overall, by pointing out the lack information in textbook and guidelines, we hope this paper puts a spotlight on an area of economic education that needs a refresh. Our work differs from Neveu, who also highlights the lack in this content area. He, however, recommends, at a very high level, using balance sheet mechanics to help students understand the bank-level incentives and decision-making process that lead to money creation and how that interacts with monetary policy. Our focus, instead, is grounded in standard textbook supply-demand model, and we focus on how to update existing materials to bring them up to date on monetary policy issue. In particular, we provide details of the Fed key policy tools, including discussion on the economic concept associated with the tools, and explain how they work in normal times and during period of severe stress. In the next two sections, we review the baseline concept that should be included in teaching resources about how the Fed implements monetary policy today and in the long run. Then we compare the current ample reserve regime to the pre-financial crisis limited reserve regime, so the reader can see some of the stark differences in the key concept and understand where some of the curriculum are lagging. With this information, we score principal textbooks and review standards and guidelines on their presentation of the Fed implementation regime. We find some textbooks need substantial updating and some need a few additional points covered. Both standards and guidelines need substantial updates as their material focus on the way the Fed implemented policy pre-2009. We propose updated language for each of these courses. Finally, we discuss why there may be a curriculum lag and end with our recommended summary of how the current ample reserve regime concept should be taught. It is only after this material are updated that we can be sure that students are taught the relevant concept needed to understand how monetary policy is implemented today and in the future.